Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show, where today we're going to continue an in-depth conversation with the one, the only Miss Virginia Drake. Virginia, we left off yesterday with your life's journey, and we left with a particular topic that still baffles me to this day. You shared a moment where you was in the ladies' room and apparition came to you. Let's start from there. What actually took place?
Well, I was literally not in the baby. I was in the bathroom of my house. And
Okay.
I had had the near-death experience. You've got to understand I had already had it. So I was having profound experiences already. Things were coming in, understandings were coming in. So I was just sitting there, and the next thing I know, this looked like it was a man, and I knew he was a priest because I recognized, not him personally, but I recognized him with the outfit he had on.
Right.
He came in and he looked right at me, and he said, "I can't move on." And I thought, first of all, it shocked me because I thought, who are you? And how in the world did you get in here? You know, you are confused at first, trying to figure it out. And then he looked straight at me and he said, "I cannot move forward because Ron has not forgiven me." And I went, and I had no idea about this. I've been married 27 years. There was nothing I knew about this priest. I recognized him from a picture. He'd already died. And I just stared at him, and then the next thing, he allowed me to feel what he had done to my husband. I felt it.
So for the viewers who didn't get a chance to watch the first part of your journey, I suggest you go back and recap. But we'll do a quick recap on where we're at today. Ron is your husband.
Ron was my husband.
Is your husband. And now we're going to highlight a part of her husband's trauma that not even Virginia knew about. Okay, so let's go back a little bit more. You mentioned you had already had a near-death experience before.
In 1998.
In 1998. Were you having these encounters with deceased individuals prior to
Yes.
this pastor coming in?
Yes, I saw my father after he died walk through my house. Yes.
Did he
And-
see you?
Yeah. No. They don't always see it. He was just walking. I really think my father at that time was considered a residual. A residual for ghosts. Either residuals, they come in and they just follow this line, and you know immediately they're going to go through. And what made my attention to go toward him is the crack in the floor, because my father was a very heavy man, and when he walked through, he would always crack that. So immediately, he's already died when I was 16. I looked immediately and I watched him cross paths. You know, and I thought, and it scared me. And I
I was going to ask, did that scare you?
Yeah, it scared me because I was 16. I never experienced it like that. I called my mother at work, and she said, "Don't you ever tell anyone that you could see your father. Never." And when she came back, my mother now, she's very much like me, but she's scared of it. And then her sister and her children, her girls, were like this, but nobody talked about it. It was something you never discussed. We had different abilities, and so I remember she said, "Don't you ever tell anybody." And what she did at that moment, it was like I turned all of this off right here. And when it did, I got cancer, right? It ran all the way through here, because that part of your brain and the pineal gland is an oscillating place where you oscillate and bring in. That's why it's called the third eye. It oscillates in. You can feel it. I mean, it comes in and it goes out. And what I did is I closed it out. So the minute you do not have that oscillating going, it became cancerous. It went all the way from the top of my head all the way down to the very end of my brow. And I closed it off because of fear. It wasn't because of anything else, because my mother scared me so much, because she said, you know, if you ever tell anyone that you can see dead people or anything like that, or you can do anything like that, they'll put you in a straitjacket. Well, my father went out in a straitjacket. He almost killed us when they came back from the VA from cancer.
It is so funny that you mention that because, once again, Hollywood tells us these things are possible with such movies as The Sixth Sense.
Oh, absolutely.
With the colors. And it took me 8 times to resonate the symbolism in this movie. The more current movies, such as Doctor Strange, as you mentioned, the third eye, What Dreams May Come, definitely my favorite.
Gosh, yes.
Why do you think? I can understand your mom being afraid because that type of movies and stuff wasn't available, and they probably didn't know how to articulate to the individual. But do we all have that gift?
Yes. It's just that some people practice better than the others. It's like a pianist. You know, if you're going to play or practice, I practiced. Once I realized I had this ability, why would I want to lose it? Why do I not? Because I saw what it could do for me, and then after I had my near-death experience, it opened everything up. When I saw that priest, like I said, and when he told me that there is no way I knew anything about it. I didn't know anything about it. Ron said it. My ex-husband had an affair. I caught him. And all he kept saying is it was the priest's fault. And I would say, oh, okay, you know. And he swears up and down he told me that. He did not tell me that. What he did is just said the priest did it. He didn't explain what he meant by it. And he told everybody that he'd already told me. He had not told me. When the priest showed me, now I'm a psychiatric social worker, domestic violence, sexual abuse, and when he looked at me and he showed me what he did, it was just like I could feel everything he did to my husband. And it was like shocking.
So let me back up a minute. I'm trying to keep the people with symbolism that they can kind of understand what you're talking about. So you're talking almost like the movie Ghost, where Patrick Swayze was trying to tell his girl who killed him, and she Whoopi Goldberg let him in, and she got to see. So you almost had sort of the same encounter where
I had a mediumship. This priest, yes.
What went through your mind when you was able to clear?
Oh, I knew immediately. Once I saw it, there's no words. It's an understanding. You have a total, true understanding of what my ex-husband went through. I mean, he went through hell. To have to go through, I knew everything. I knew everything as he thought as a child, what happened to him, and what the priest, at the same time, what the priest had done, and how he felt. So you get to go into a 3-party deal, and you get to understand all 3 parties.
Let's back up a minute and hold that thought. So that's we talked about this. We got the creator of the motion picture The Shack. This happened to your husband. He lived in a code of silence. He gave you a little bit. You heard the word priest before, but it didn't resonate until just now. Knowing that you see the glimpse of 2 individuals and what one did that impacted not only your life but your husband's life, you ask yourself the most infinite question, and I'm gonna just say it like it is. We all are part of the universe, God's creatures. What's your take on what this man did to you? Because we can't judge. It's not our thing. But when you see what he did and what the impact happened to your husband, and then you go into I had to think like the viewers would think, a religious realm. Do you forgive this man? Do the universe forgive this man? You know, because you just said something. He couldn't cross over because he didn't get forgiveness from the individuals, and it probably was more than one individual. So this guy I'm just hypothetically thinking, for his soul or his energy to go on in comfortability, because he created a hell within himself on earth, he had to go and relinquish this to why you?
Why he did it is because he knew the ramifications of what he had created. First of all, think about it, because I felt the man. He believed in God. He was honoring God. He did not honor God. He took a child, an innocent child, and he slayed him in a lower thought. And what you do, it has nothing to do with religion. I want you to understand. When you get to that state, when you can walk through every person that's gone in, you already feel them from a whole different point. Like when I realized my husband had had these affairs and had done these awful things to me, I totally understood why he did it. He'd been abandoned. He'd been, betrayed by something that he loved. He loved that man because he wanted to be a priest.
Wow.
Yeah, he wanted. That's what stopped all of this. And then, but when you realize why he did the things he did, you can't not. It's not a forgiveness. It's an understanding why he got the way he did.
What is the difference between forgiveness and understanding? Because most people need to understand there is a difference between forgiveness and understanding.
Absolutely. Well, it's not an understanding, but it's a true divineness that you see through a different state of mind through God. It's like you really do view how God would see it.
And not looking at it on a
Not
judgmental
through the
state.
man world at all. You don't have anything to think about as man world. It's all about God and it's how that happens.
When you saw all of this, and I can feel, and I wasn't even part of it, but just listening to the story, my mind is literally in the bathroom encountering what you just did. And I'm getting emotional about it. I'm getting angry, but I also feel like I have compassion for him as well. Does that make any sense?
Yes. You become very compassionate about it because when you really
I don't understand why he did it, but I can feel compassion on both ends of the spectrum. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it makes. Well, that's exactly what it feels like. Is you become really almost godly in looking at it through the whole event. God doesn't judge at all. God truly feels everything on each individual in there and how it all happened. It is the shot, like you said.
Did he reveal? Because that's almost like a burden being lifted at that moment. Did he allow you during this confession on what he did? Did he allow you deeper to see everything that had happened to him as well? Because
No.
he was able to cut it off.
Yeah. Well, no, what I said to him, I said, nobody can forgive you. No one. You have to forgive yourself. And you need to go straight to the higher consciousness with God. And you need to look at God. And you need to say that. Ron cannot forgive you like that to give you that peace. You got to find that within.
What was his?
He turned right around and went.
He crossed over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now somebody would say, how in the heck did he talk to you? People need to realize once you reach a certain vibration and that third eye is open, it's almost like mental telepathy.
It was just like I was in the room of the bathroom and we were sitting in another room together. I mean, I've seen this over and over.
What was his emotions? Did you
He was very
feel
neutral. His head hung down. Anytime they wave their hand down, that means that they're looking at the earth, and that's the guilt of the earth that's been given through the world of man. The world of man is guilty. There are rules. You better stop and do that. That's what he was doing. He wasn't looking up. He was looking down. And he was always experiencing from the earth level or man level, not seeing it through the eyes of God.
Did you experience any reaction when he was able to cross over?
No, I knew it was right. It was perfect because he was gone. And, it was gone. There was no other energy that was left. I did probably sit there for a few minutes, but I couldn't tell anybody because nobody would ever believe me anyway.
What about your husband?
No, absolutely not. I never told him that. Never. I didn't tell my children that.
What did you think? Did you think you was protecting him for something by not sharing with him?
No, because they thought I was crazy.
Even your husband?
Oh,
Even if you had to share with him
he didn't even know how I even figured it out. Because he never told me any of this. So I went to the other bathroom the next week, and the priest wanted me to do something. He kept saying, you need to help me, you need to help me. I said, I can't help you. Because, see, I'd already tried it a couple of times telling them what I'd done or what I saw, and they were nasty. They thought I was crazy. They would make fun at me, you know, you think you're Jesus, Mom? You know, and it hurt me because when you really do have that experience and you really have met the Holy Spirit, that is blasphemy right there. I mean, it would hurt me. I could feel the energy go through my body that would hurt me. It was like swords. You know, that's when you are really a pure soul looking at the truth. And you have people you love. That's a crucifixion as well. That's what it felt like to me.
Did you want to tell your husband what you
Oh, I wanted them all to know. I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't have anybody to tell anybody with. None. It was tough. I'm going to tell you, I lived and then when I did leave, that's when I started talking. I got on stage and started talking about it all. I thought, you know, what am I going to lose here? And if I don't start telling this, then I have not served God. Because God gave me this information, this opportunity, and this ability to do this. If I don't get up on that stage and tell the truth, but it also was releasing for me, because I talked about me smoking marijuana, everything that I was so aware of that I was afraid to hold back, you know, that I didn't want to. I would get up on stage, well, you know, we smoked marijuana, there was a lot of drugs in my house. You know, I started telling the whole story because it was release. It was a true, I wasn't lying anymore. I wasn't hiding, you know, and that's what I laugh about because we go to these parties around here in this world, and it's a masquerade party. Everybody's got a mask. I took my mask off and I started telling everybody, I don't have a mask. And I scared people because those that were holding a mask didn't want to look at the truth because if they carry it, you know, pick it up, they're going to have to look at it.
You said you eventually separated from your husband.
Yes. 5 years later, exactly. But I practiced. I mean, they were the best practice because the best people that you're triggered by is your family. And they said everything you could possibly name. And then I had a daughter-in-law who came in with my older son, 4 years of women's correctional for murder.
What? Really?
Yes, really. And you know how God did that? Anytime I saw butterflies or anything, that was God telling me I had to honor whatever was given me. Guess what she had? A butterfly tattoo right on her side of her
Sounds
heart.
like dragonfly, you know that, right?
Yes, but it was a butterfly, and she had the butterfly, and God said, she's yours now, teacher. And you know, Jessica ended up getting into drugs really bad. I mean, she was beautiful. My son and Jessica were models for car races and stuff like that. I mean, they were a beautiful couple, but they were fucked up. I'm just going to be honest, you know, and I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but when they're fucked up, they're fucked up. And there's nothing I could do because they'd already pushed me out, and she wanted me out, but I can guarantee you what she did get. She was from Eastern Kentucky, didn't have a lot. She thought we were rich. Now, we did look rich. I mean, we had a big house, we had the swimming pool in the back, we had horses, we looked pretty good.
It was pretty rich to me.
We got Mercedes out there, you know, and our kids were right, you know. So when she walked in, she said, the first thing she said when she met me, she said, oh, I didn't know you were rich. And I said, stop right there. I said, this is owned by the bank. We don't own anything.
Right.
But she already knew, and her grandfather was I think a street minister, and you know he was preaching the gospel, but it's pretty, you know, hellish kind of spot. And
you got one option: you go here, you do this, or you go here.
Yeah, but you know, Jessica, they were smart. They were very smart. Her brother was a smart bomb operator for, you know, the war. I mean, they were real smart, but no common sense. No common sense. I'd much rather have common sense than have, you know, smarts.
Why?
Because common sense, at least you can get out of a situation. But if you're trying to always work it out and you'll never go anywhere. You'll be up here all the time. So, but no, yeah, Jessica. But when Jessica died, she was killed in a car accident, and the steering wheel went right through her heart.
Wow.
She hit a bridge, and she came back 3 or 4 days later and thanked me for helping her cross over because she said, "You prayed me over hell."
Whoa, back up. Okay, back up. Hold down. Hold that. She died.
She died.
But before she died, you was instructing her on.
No.
You didn't instruct her on. She came to you.
She died, and she came back to me 3 days after she died.
Where were you at when she came back to you?
I was at my house.
And she manifested through.
She stood right in my hallway, and she was in her wedding dress because I was the one helped her buy it. And she said, "Thank you for praying me for." You know, she said, first of all, she said, "You could have taken me to hell." And I said, she said, "Why didn't you take me to hell?" I said, "If I took you to hell, I'd be going there with you." And she said, and she was all dressed up, and she said, "You prayed me over hell." And she said, "I'm going to be dancing with God tonight. That's my wedding." That's what she said.
So her interpretation of that, what even made her think that she was going to go to hell? Because she was fucked up?
Oh, honey, she rent 4 cars. She was so bad, drugged up. She started out as she was a stripper, and trying to, their marriage just destroyed. I mean, and she had us a child, my grandson Alex. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. Jessica was always jealous of me, and she wanted to rule, and my ex-husband had gotten involved a lot more with her because I was gone now. They pushed me out. And she looked right at me and literally said one day when I was at my house, she said, "It only takes $1,500 to kill somebody." I'm dealing with some really bad stuff here. You have no idea. And that's how I've learned all of this. This is why I could do the things I could do. I mean, it's an incredible opportunity to learn this.
Let's go back for a minute with your husband. What do you regret knowing what he went through? And you'd been married for quite some time. Most people
I forgave him. I literally forgave him for everything. I forgave him. But he turned right around and he was just as mean afterwards.
Do you think this is hypothesis, and people need to understand that because this has already happened, but eyesight 2020 pretty much, do you think it would have made a difference in his overall perception of somebody knowing? Because let's put it like this, it always feels better when you're able, and I'm going to share what you guys did to me at the end of this season, but you always feel better when the burden
is lifted.
It's lifted.
Yeah,
this guy was quoting this.
Yeah, that's right out of the Bible. The yoke is heavy.
But you knew what he went through.
Yes. And the disappointment.
That kind of power in your hand could have, and I'm just hypothesizing here, it could have made a difference in his life. Do you ever think about that? What would have happened?
It did make his life change, but he couldn't change it to the betterment.
Okay.
He's a narcissist. He still had to follow through in the narcissist way. I mean, I forgave him. I mean, I stayed with him.
You did the best you can do with the journey.
Well, and then you know what I get? I'm laying up in my bed next to him, and God literally says, "He's not going to go. He's not going to do, so you need to leave." And within 48 hours, I was gone. The back door opened up for me, and I left and said, "Don't look back." And God literally said to me, "I'll take care of it." Because a lot of times when people don't realize, Ron and I came back together, and the whole agreement was whoever wakes up first has to wake the other one up. And God said, "You've been trying to wake him up. You've been trying to wake him up. You've shown him everything. You've been kind, all of that." He said, "He's not going to do it. And it's time for you to go and serve me now." And the back door opened, and I walked out. And I didn't look back.
Let's back up for a minute. Let's go back to, you mentioned several times your encounter with God. Most people, if that opportunity is going to happen to us all, I probably got a whole list of questions I'm getting ready to ask.
I don't know.
When that happened for the first time and you was there, what was that like? What did you ask? What went through your
Me, when
mind?
I first met Jesus,
Yeah.
so I sat down with him. I said, first of all, you're a really good-looking man. And I remember saying it. And I said, is that wrong? I'm not lusting at you. And he said, there's no such thing as lusting. And I thought, there's no such thing as lusting. He said, if you really see me for who I am, then you will know who you are. Because I am you as you are me. And I went, oh, wow.
Break that down for the viewers, because that was a mouthful.
Well, when you really realize that he said it exactly in the Bible, the kingdom of God lies within. Why would you think he is no different than you are to him? He said it right there. He said, we're just light. Why are you making a big deal of it?
So when you said you're a beautiful man, he
I
was saying basically, you're the same. You're the same.
Yeah, because he wanted it. But also, I'll tell you, I even went over to him and I said, I went to God on this one. I said, I want to know this thing about goddamn. What do you mean by that goddamn word? Because that word, my mother, the only time she ever got mad, she'd say goddamn, and it would ride on me. I mean, it's like, oh, she's talking about God. And I thought, if I want to talk about this big being out here, I don't know what that word means. Am I really shooting it out into the universe and I'm going to go to hell because of that?
Right.
I remember I went up and God said, really? You think that I'm going to get upset about that little bitty word? No, it's done. Why would a being that is so massive and naturally bigger than you could ever, you think somebody out of our mouth is going to offend that? Please, get over it.
You mentioned you met Jesus.
Yeah, I did.
And then you met God. What was the difference so people can understand?
Well, all God is a natural being of light, and truly it's an intelligence. It's when you're talking to God, that's an intelligence. It does not have anything about flesh. It has nothing to think about people at all. Now, Jesus is resembling to you because none of us would figure this out. If God came into you, honestly, and really showed the real presence, you would fall to your knees. And I have fallen to my knees because there's no words. I couldn't even talk about words with God for a long time. I couldn't even get on a stage and talk it because it wouldn't come up because of vibration. Now, Jesus looked at me and said, I am the Father, I'm of the Father, the Son, and we all like this. And then he just started talking about how much his light was. And then he turned and he said, we're all light. What does it matter? And because we don't have a body. You think you have a body. Those are thoughts that made you have that body. Who told you that you have a body anyway?
Well, let me ask the question. Let's go back a little bit. Because we get different interpretations when I hear the near-death experience from people. I think the most clairvoyancy of the interpretation was definitely, I don't mean to elaborate on this movie so much, but it was really when I watched The Shack for the 4th time. And I shared you about it. I was like, so the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost were the 3 individuals that went into the shack when he had allegedly died. But those were 3 people that he can resonate to. Mm-hmm. How accurate is that? But you saw Jesus in the Jesus form.
I saw him exactly how they trained to see.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say.
There was always an image of Jesus, so that's who you think it is. You go to a black church. I've been to a black church,
right,
and they've got a black Jesus. Because I even went in there and I said, do you have black Jesus? Yeah, we have black Jesus. And I thought, okay, then there's a lot of Jesuses.
It's the interpretation that they have been planted and how you've seen it. So.
And that's what Jesus said, because I asked him straight up, I said, well, how are people going to know you? He said, about they've been trained to know me. He said, if I walked in a crowd as somebody else, you'd never know me.
What else did you ask him?
Just...
But you was young, right?
No, I was 46 years old.
46. So what else? You've experienced Earth.
Yes.
So what's some of the other things you asked him?
I just asked him, are we going to hell? He said, hell? He said, hell is here.
Hell on earth.
Hell on earth.
Figure it out.
But it's still in perspective, because there's a lot of people that are living a great life over here, but they might not be awake to the fact that they are in hell. It's really shocking when you find out, when you really wake up, hell, I'm in hell. Because that's how it woke up to me, because, I mean, it was like, I had everything. I had the money, we had the prestige, whatever. I was very, respected in my town. But when you wake up, I was empty.
What do you mean when you say when you woke up?
I'm like, okay, my husband and I and my children, we weren't connected at all. I mean, we talked about this.
Operating on different vibrations.
Yeah, well, but also it's about love, and it's about respect. It's about, there's a whole different understanding about what love is.
How powerful is that word?
Well, I can tell you exactly how it is. Close your eyes, Andre, and I want you just to focus on the word love. See it.
I tell you, my heart feels lifted.
Okay, but that's a word. Okay, now I want you to come back up, and I want you to take another breath. Now this time, I want you to go in, and I want you to feel love the first time. Just feel it. Now, does it feel the same as the word love, or does it feel like love?
No.
Okay, do you see the two of them?
Mm-hmm.
The word love is flat. We've been given that imagery that's it.
But if you attach it to something, it's a whole different ballgame.
That's God.
That's crazy. If you attach it to, when I said it just in its state, flat state, like you just said, it was just like, okay, I felt a little something. But when I took that and I combined it with the closest thing I consider love,
Right.
it was a whole different.
Okay, this is where people are walking around thinking they're in love or all of that, but they're thinking about the word love. They don't understand what love means, because first of all, they've never loved themselves enough to even feel it.
I think we talked about that off camera.
Yes, we have.
Which we're going to reflect on my journey. What's another thing that you asked? Because I'm curious. Because we talked about this. I'm there. I'm asked, but people need to understand when you're at that state, there is no time. You could probably ask him everything you could ever thought of, and it would probably be a millimeter second.
Yeah, and it is, because I've been on all of that. But the thing is that what it gave to me was peace. That there is, I used to think I was going to hell every time I thought about something, sexual, or this is what, I remember.
We've been really programmed, haven't we?
Well, bingo.
We've been really programmed.
Yeah.
So even the thought of sex, you're right. People say, oh, don't say that.
Oh, don't look at a penis. Don't look at a vagina. Well, then that's immediately I'm thinking, what is that all about? Because they don't want you to ever find out who you really are. So they don't want you to look there. And there's a lot of love in that part of who we are, because we have dishonored sexual understanding of the intimacy of the soul. It's not about sex. It's about bring that up from the lower consciousness and bring it in your heart, and then feel the orgasm.
We talked about this. We talked about so much. I want the viewers to make sure you stay tuned, because this is going to be a complete series of the Virginia Drake story, and hopefully you guys can resonate. The ideal is not to judge. The ideal is not to call somebody crazy. The ideal is to sit back and listen and try to get something out of this, because this is why I'm bringing this series to you guys. You're going to learn something, and even if it's just a fraction, it can help get you where you need to get to. Back to the statement that you just made. When you're sitting there and you're talking with Jesus, because not God, because we got to start here first, because I'm understanding this a little bit. What is God telling Jesus to tell us? Why are we here? Because we'll talk about this too as the reincarnation thing, because we've all been here. Let's be real. A lot of us aren't woken yet, but we've been here numerous times until we get it right. We've been black, we've been white, we've been Asian, we've been a cow, we've been we've been everything.
Everything, even down to a rock.
What's the biggest purpose? When you clearly he's given us the the clarity, but then when we come back, we get the chaos of fragmentation.
Okay, but let's go back to the Matrix. Where were they? Where was it when he finally realized? Where was he? He was in a bottle of water or whatever.
Yeah.
So all that was programming information. That's all that was. That's what the Matrix was about. This is how many people are living in that. But when you unplug, what happened? Did he do?
He did all kind of crazy
Yeah,
shit.
he could do things that he never thought he could because he walked out of the Matrix. When you walk out of the Matrix, you don't look back anymore. You don't have to think about anything anymore. I told you, it's simple. It's very simple. You got to trust it. This is the women that are here with us. They know this. I mean, we live this way.
The Matrix. So we're going to talk about that as well and how it relates to what we're dealing with now, which is the alter ego, or should we say Satan and God.
And that's in there because you have to. You have to battle yourself to understand.
To understand what
and
we're
remember in the Bible it says when the angel came in for Isaiah and he battled with him, he broke his hip. Well, because you're battling with a higher consciousness. It wants you to see the greatness of this world or this being's part of us and not think the small. Everybody's making small. We're talking about war. We're talking about fear. We're talking about... When are we going to wake up and say, let's go to paradise. Let's raise it up. Let's see it from a different state of mind. That's all it is. And it's all a state of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show. Make sure you guys continue to follow the journey of Virginia Drake. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Andre the Beast Crayton. Talk to you later.